Paris, 2025. The city of light, love, and centuries of grandeur hides shadows in its most sacred halls. On one fateful night, the Louvre, the world's treasure trove of art and history, became a stage for audacity unlike anything seen before. Priceless crown jewels, relics of monarchy and centuries of human ambition were about to disappear into the darkness. The silence of the museum was almost suffocating, broken only by the soft echo of footsteps on marble floors. Cameras blinked in the shadows, motion detectors hummed with quiet menace, and guards patrolled the halls like invisible predators. Amidst this fortress of security, a small group of intruders moved with precision, their hearts pounding, knowing that one misstep could ignite alarms and bring catastrophe. It was a night of extreme risk, where fear and thrill intertwined. Every decision carried unimaginable stakes. Every breath was a measured gamble. The shadows seemed alive, whispering the consequences of failure. And yet, they pressed forward, driven by greed, audacity, and the intoxicating allure of the impossible. This was not merely a theft, it was a test of nerve, skill, and human daring, a story that would haunt Paris and the world for years to come. The Louvre, a palace of light and art, had long been a symbol of human creativity and history. Its halls told stories of kings, emperors, and artists who shaped the world. But beneath this grandeur lay a vulnerability few imagined. Within its secure vaults rested the crown jewels of France, gems of immense value, not just monetarily but historically, each one a fragment of the nation's soul. The jewels were protected by layers of security, reinforced vaults, biometric locks, motion detectors, and CCTV cameras that scanned every shadow. Guards walked predetermined patrols, eyes trained to detect any anomaly. The very walls seemed alive with watchfulness, as if centuries of history themselves demanded vigilance. Yet, human ambition is relentless. To breach such a fortress required genius, courage, and audacity. The contrast between the opulence of the Louvre and the lurking danger created a tension almost unbearable. Every guard, every camera, every lock was a challenge waiting to be overcome. The stakes were enormous. Success meant unimaginable wealth and infamy. Failure meant immediate capture, ruin, or worse. The stage was set, and the night was ready to test both human daring and fragility. Months of meticulous preparation preceded the heist. The thieves observed the Louvre relentlessly, learning guard schedules, camera blind spots, and even the subtle patterns of footsteps echoing in marble corridors. Every door, every hallway, every shadow was studied until it became familiar territory. They were not recklessly bold, they were methodical, patient, and terrifyingly precise. The psychological toll of planning was immense. Sleepless nights, fear of discovery, and the weight of potential failure pressed heavily on them. Yet, the darkness also sharpened their focus. Every moment demanded vigilance. One misstep could trigger alarms, expose them, and end their ambitions forever. They rehearsed movements in their minds, imagining every scenario, preparing for every contingency. The plan itself was a study in human cunning. They leveraged timing, stealth, and intimate knowledge of the Louvre's internal operations. The vault was not just a prize, it was a gauntlet, a test of nerve where the line between genius and catastrophe was razor-thin. Emotion, fear, and greed collided in the shadows, creating an almost hypnotic tension, like walking a tightrope over a yawning abyss. Night fell over Paris, blanketing the Louvre in darkness. The museum, silent and foreboding, became an arena of tension. The thieves slipped past sensors, cameras, and guards with the grace of shadows, hearts racing with every step. Each corridor felt alive, threatening exposure, every turn a brush with disaster. Inside the vault area, the crown jewels gleamed under dim security lighting. Diamonds and gems reflected light like frozen flames, mesmerizing yet menacing. Hands trembled slightly as treasures were lifted, each movement a mixture of reverence and desperation. The silence pressed on them like a living entity, fear lacing every heartbeat. One wrong move and years of planning would unravel in an instant. The thrill was intoxicating, but the danger was omnipresent. Guards passed nearby, cameras swiveled silently, and each shadow seemed poised to betray them. Yet they pressed forward, balancing audacity with caution. It was a perfect storm of human skill and nerve, where triumph and catastrophe existed on the same razor edge. By the time they retreated, the crown jewels had vanished, leaving only echoes of risk and ambition behind. Morning brought disbelief. Museum staff entered the halls, expecting the familiar serenity of art and history. But something was off. Vaults that had been secure yesterday were empty. Priceless crown jewels were gone. Panic rippled through the Louvre, the quiet halls now filled with a sense of violation. Security teams scrambled, reviewing footage, inspecting doors, and confirming alarms had remained silent. How could this have happened? The emptiness of the vaults felt almost supernatural, as if the treasures had dissolved into the shadows. But fear and fascination intertwined, both for staff and the public. Media outlets erupted, and the world stared in disbelief. Investigators faced an almost impossible task. The heist had been executed with surgical precision, leaving almost no traces. Each clue or lack thereof densified the mystery. The museum, a symbol of centuries of human achievement, had been pierced by audacity. And in the silence, one question loomed larger than all: who had the nerve, the skill, and the audacity to pull this off? Police and forensic teams launched a relentless inquiry. Every camera frame was analyzed, every access log dissected, and every employee questioned. The sophistication of the crime suggested insider knowledge or unparalleled skill. Detectives pursued leads, chasing shadows, uncovering threads that hinted at human cunning beyond imagination. The investigation was both thrilling and maddening. Each small clue raised more questions than it answered. Fingerprints, footprints, discarded tools, and tiny inconsistencies became pieces of a vast puzzle. The criminal's audacity loomed large, forcing investigators to operate with equal precision. Every moment carried tension, as if the very walls of the Louvre were holding their breath. Emotionally, the investigators felt the weight of history and responsibility. It was not just a theft, it was a violation of cultural heritage, a daring act that tested the limits of human ingenuity. Fear, anticipation, and the thrill of the chase intertwined, creating a narrative of suspense and almost tangible dread. Eventually, mistakes emerged. Small traces left behind DNA tools. Digital footprints allowed authorities to identify suspects. The arrests were dramatic, calculated, and fraught with tension. Those involved faced the weight of justice, their brilliance overshadowed by human fallibility. The Louvre responded with sweeping changes, enhanced surveillance, stricter access controls, and advanced security measures. The heist became both a cautionary tale and a story of fascination. Historians, law enforcement, and the public debated audacity, morality, and human ambition. Though some jewels were recovered, others disappeared into the shadows, a haunting reminder of the heist's audacity. The story lingered, a mix of triumph and fear, genius and failure, audacity and the haunting whisper of consequences. It became a legendary tale where human ambition danced with darkness, leaving an indelible mark on Paris and history itself.